And we're live.
And I have no mic.
We're live.
With the sound.
He's putting on his mic, but as we are getting ready, we are going to talk about is Vegas doomed?
Vegas is doomed. It's absolutely doomed. It's completely doomed now.
But I would like to know if anyone in the chat could tell me how the audio is doing besides, the little muffling with David's mic right now.
Yeah, mic's on, ready to go. Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to get right into it. So the topic today is Vegas doomed. This is going to be we're going to go all organic with this. So, I've lived here a long time, a lot of negativity coming out of Vegas, but there's a lot of things to be positive about, and we're going to put this into perspective. We're going to go over a lot of topics. Those of you interested in moving here, living here, this will be a lot to digest, and we're going to get ahead of, we're going to find some truth together because we're always about truth. And all right, so first, before we get there, I got a couple different announcements. Number one, the very brand new iteration or version of Crapsy is out. It's at crapsy.com. Definitely check it out. You can play the free version. You can see the new UI. A lot of really great improvements, and it's constantly being worked on. So there's that, number one. Number two is we have an event coming up March 30th and 31st, and it's Easter Sunday. Holy smokes. So we're gonna all be together for that. We can kumbaya moment. But March 30th, it's going to be at Palace Station. You can get a discounted room there, and starting at 4 o'clock. So it includes, by the way, that ticket includes eats, a group poll, or at least the first contribution to group poll. We have this special limited edition lanyard, and then we're having a dice and roulette clinic following that on Sunday. Okay, so Sunday we're going to all meet up and we're going to have a dice and roulette clinic, and that's going to be with myself and Alex. And yes, for the same tickets. And you're asking me how much tickets are. I believe they're $100, and they're available now, at least for a week or so. The last thing I will tell you is we are building the ultimate player dealer training center here in Las Vegas, and for those of you who are interested in being part of that, go to casinoquest.biz/the center. And even if you're not looking to be kind of a participant, so we're going to be giving out a whole bunch of stuff for people to be engaged and be part of how we build this business. But we're also going to be making available some really steep discounts for the first people that sign up for this. So basically, if you're a player, want to be a dealer, or you're a dealer that want to improve your game, we're going to be occupying a big ass space here in a minute, and we're taking over a whole new facility, and we want to share that with you guys because you guys are the root of our success. There's no doubt about it. So we want you guys to be the first ones to know what we're doing, but there's that. All right, I think I covered everything, no?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to get right out to it. So here's what I will tell you first is my process for these podcasts originally was a lot of notes, a lot of images, kind of really detailed outline. I suck at that. I just do, I do talking points, and I find that the more I can just let things flow, the better it is for myself and for everybody engaged. And so, one of the things that I've always had to address, just in general, is all the negativity that goes with either living here or just in general. Like if you look out everywhere in this country, if you read a newspaper, you go online, everything is about sensationalism. Everything starts with the negativity first. It's always about what's the worst possible scenario. Even when they refer to a storm, it's a punishing storm. It's a hellstorm. Storm comes through, it's got 10 feet of snow. You know what I mean? No one actually died. A few people had to pull out their skis or get in a toboggan. Some kids pulled, you know what I mean? But it's a punishing snow. Who is it punishing? I mean, is it punishing the trees? But everything has to be overt negativity all the time. When I was a kid, and I'm starting with this sort of anecdotal stories because I want to give you kind of a sense of where I'm going with this. When I was a kid, and I grew up in New York City, and then outside of Boston, the first thing you hear is, how many people were murdered and who was a victim of a mugging. And you wonder where all this takes place because I personally, didn't see a whole lot of that. Yes, that I interacted with some weird things and I ran across cars that were broken into, stuff like this. But for the most part, I wasn't the center of the destination. And I grew up in the city, where you hear about someone getting pushed off into a train. Luckily, I never saw one of those. I'm sure some people have had that kind of trauma or have had to deal with those kinds of things. But interestingly, when I was a kid, I would go skiing in Canada. And you turn on the news, the first thing that I still remember to this day is, so I had a friend of mine who lived outside of Toronto, and I go over his house. It's one of the first times I'm in Canada. We turn on the TV, and the news comes up. And the first 10 minutes, no one gets killed. No one's been shot. There's no negativity. It's like, this person's having a wedding. We're celebrating this. It's like all this good news. And I'm like, how is this a TV? How is this a thing? And my friend he's like, when I come down to the US, I can't watch the news because the news is always so focused on negativity. Well, it's more so now, right? I mean, this is about everything. It's the end of the world. Everything's coming to an end. No matter where we live, it's the worst case scenario. I suppose there's some of us that are in some random town somewhere that just, you've got a cow next door. There's not much to worry about from the cow. But everywhere else, it seems to be just absolutely, wherever we are, it's the worst place to be. And it doesn't change for Vegas. So the reason why we came to this specific topic is the Lake Mead story. The Lake Mead story is quite interesting, because no matter what happens, no matter how much rain we have or how many storms come through, it's always the doom and gloom about Lake Mead, and Lake Mead has risen, right? So I'm going to go down all the things that people are overtly negative. Some of these might be a little bit surprising. Most of you that live here, you already know this, and I don't want this to be at all a takeaway. I want to present everything as honestly as I possibly can. Listen, this is not. Vegas is not paradise for everybody. I mean, it's great for some people. It's not great. There are things about coming here and being part of this community that are absolutely fantastic. And there are things that suck. Just like you could go anywhere in the world and that would be true. I went to Garden City. I lived in Garden City, Kansas when I was a much younger man. And it smelled like absolute poop all day long. And some people just love that. They love it. They suck it in. You could fart all day in that town and no one would be any the wiser. It's quite something. You can't overcome the cows, dude. The cows take over there. All right, so we're going to go down the list, and I'm going to deal with the biggest thing. So the first thing I'm going to get to is, yes, sir? I see you saying. No. If you want to interrupt me, just let me know. Okay, the first thing is, and I had a picture of this, but you can go online and you can see all the pictures. So Lake Mead, the water levels, everyone's talking about how Lake Mead might become still. The water might, we're going to run out of water. We have too many people moving here. It's nothing. So first of all, we don't have too many people moving here. We use less water as a population. We become very, very good at conservation. Any of you that ends up visiting the Strip and you see any of the water amenities they have, almost 100% of that is recycled. So if you look at the Bellagio fountains, it's quite remarkable the technology they have to recycle. That water is not going anywhere. Yes, there's some of the water is evaporating, but we as a state, as a people, have become really, really good at conserving water. And as a whole, we use less acreage of water. Our water use is very small. The bigger water uses are California agriculture, these kinds of things. So our water use is very small. And kudos has to go to our water authority for really doing a fantastic job and staying ahead of this for Southern Nevada. So all those people worried about we're running out of water, we're not running out of water now. There are some other places in the world, I think, that are having a bigger problem with this, but here, what we're talking about is Vegas doomed. So the one thing we can check off the map is the water thing. And now here's what I will say. I know we point to Lake Mead a lot. We get a lot of water from we get a lot of water sources from groundwater and a lot of wells that are dug throughout the Southern Nevada area. But here's the thing. I'm just going to pull this up, and this is quite literally from statistically the current state of Lake Mead. So Lake Mead in June of 2015 had 1,074 feet of water, give or take, 1,074. In August 2022, it was down to 1,044 feet, and this is where we're like, oh my God, if it keeps going this way, it's going to go very poorly. Well, here's the thing. Today, as the measurement, so as the most recent measurement, it's 1,076 feet, and it's better than June of 2015. And here's why I want to, and this is where we're going to go kind of with the rest of this, is every day, not every day, but many days I hear about how if you come here and you read the news, it's all about how Lake Mead is dying and there's not enough water. but they're not keeping up with everything else that's going on. All these atmospheric storms, all of the weather conditions that have changed this, all of the water that's being fed, all the Sierra Nevadas that are impacted by these storms. So these are contributing. So how about we just live in the moment for a second? Yes, we have to plan for the future, but at least for the moment, things are looking better, and we can focus on that and stay updated. So a lot of these statistics are outdated. They're not updating this plane of thought. They're still using this old data. Yes, 5 years ago, we were projected to be at a much lower state, and they're still using this as the benchmark. It's silly, and it's a way for them to get you to read and you to watch. You know what I like? Dennis, he just turns off the news. He doesn't like to listen because there's too much negativity. He's got enough shit to deal with, and I think I take in way too much news. That might be my problem, and I think for a lot of us it is. You have to be careful. You have to really, dig a little bit and figure out where they're getting this information. But hey, for right now, our water levels, as a matter of fact, are higher than they were in June of 2015, which is a fantastic thing. And as a population, we're conserving and using less. That's a win for me. So Lake Mead currently is not doomed. 10, 15 years from now, who knows? All right. Anyways, I'm going to move on to the next one, and this is another one another topic that is often, we get laughed at a lot. So education here in Las Vegas is absolutely atrocious. And is our education system doomed? I would say it's a relative thing. Okay, so here's what happens. Because of the way the state's configured, much of the power lies in Carson City. Okay, and in order to win a state race, and you have to really just feed Carson City. So Northern Nevada has always gotten kind of the lion's share because it has a lower population density and it shares in the income. That has changed. Even though Las Vegas obviously is the sort of the hub, the population hub, it's nowhere near the capital, and a lot of state offices, or people that get elected to this state runoff, they have to win the northern part of the state in order to sort of have a political career. So in the past, Southern Nevada has really suffered because our population density has increased so quickly. Our infrastructure hasn't kept up with. If you drive here, by the way, one of the things I should talk about are the roads doing. But yikes, I have no answer for that right now. But so population density, and so we haven't been able to keep up, and so the state as a whole has fallen behind in education for quite a few years. And there's lots of mitigating factors in that. So I'm going to give you a few basic statistics. So if you go to Northern Nevada, the average spend for a child is over $30,000. Okay, here it's $11,000, and that's because there are so few. There are many less children to educate in northern part of the state as opposed to the southern part of the state. Not to mention, of course, the infrastructure. So when we look at it holistically, there is less spent on a student in this state than in Mississippi. Yeah, 100%. Mississippi spends more per student, and that's not a great benchmark, right? Now, we have problem retaining teachers because we pay less for teachers too. So that is a sucky statistic. So if you're coming here as a teacher, you better come with two of you, because two of you are needed to kind of give you middle of the road and afford a house, which really sucks because we're not making that investment in our kids if we don't have teachers. The other part of it is the infrastructure and those types of things that are related to education. But here is the side caveat. The side caveat is our education is always lacked because we're a hospitality-driven state. Now we're trying to move into other areas and diversify, but as a hospitality destination, you didn't need school. You could drop out, go to work at a casino, be a dealer, be a pit manager, and no one ever looked back. You never needed a high school diploma. There's not a single job that I've ever applied for in this state. That's not true, one job. But as a dealer in the casino bit, where I've never needed a diploma. I just never needed a diploma. So I was able to create lots of opportunity, and having a diploma just isn't incentivized with what's available here. Now, that's changing as we are growing, as our population density increases, as we're building more infrastructure. We're diversifying into technical areas of manufacturing, and there's healthcare. There's other services now that require that. But again, we're slow to catch up. You know what I mean? We haven't really approached D-Day in that regard. So we've been sort of left in behind. Now, if you're coming here as a family and you have kids and you want them to have a better education, there are lots of really good opportunities here in the state. There's a lot of private schools, a lot of Montessori schools. There are actually a lot. Now, are they cheap? No, they're not cheap. They cost money. But if you're in a professional field, there are a lot. In fact, our schools now have become charter-based in some areas and very diversified in what they're providing. So as much as statistically it looks bad, there are areas that if you as parents are focused, you could find great opportunity for your kids. If you're not so focused, less opportunity. I mean, that's all there is to it. I've been to, interestingly, I went to Chicago with a friend of mine, and I know that, if you're living in Chicago, you have to get really close to wherever the school is that you want. You spend a fortune trying to get close enough to the school where you want your kids to get to. You don't have to do that here. In fact, Dennis is an exact example of that. He lives in a very poor neighborhood. The closest school to him sucks, but he was able to enroll in a school far away.
Yeah, literally in a
Can
different...
they hear you?
Yeah, I have my mic on. I went to Green Valley High School. I don't care to tell it, because what are you going to do? Go to this high school. But I lived near Rancho High School, and Green Valley was a great school. Great teachers, great people. I've never been to Rancho, so I have no idea how the school is there. But I haven't heard good things, let's just say.
Yeah. So on paper, if you look at our school system, it sucks. It requires a lot of attention. And quite honestly, there hasn't been a political will. The political will is exactly where you think it is. It's in casinos, it's in banking, it's in mining. These areas have consumed everyone's brain. Lately, F1 the list, basically anything that pulls more money and more intensity into the strip and tourism. And we haven't done enough to focus on our education. Now, there have been great strides in some areas, and that's where we do a segue into healthcare. So the segue to healthcare is great, because you also, another area where people talk about the doom of Vegas. We have a very high number of doctors who are in the 50+ range that are going to be retiring. We don't have a lot of residencies, so we're not getting a lot of homegrown doctors. But UNLV has stepped up, UNLV Health has stepped up and providing a resource and a destination for more and more people to come to Vegas, learn to be a doctor, do some research, get into residency, and this is absolutely a positive sign. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There are things that are going on now that are really trying to address, and there's really, really good people who are making Vegas a destination. And Vegas has, if you are someone who is interested in the medical career, or you're a doctor currently, there's a lot of wonderful things to love about Vegas. We've really, really grown as a city. We have our own Philharmonic now. I mean, we have our symphony, right? Symphony Philharmonic. We have a ballet. I mean, one of the things we always lacked was culture, and that's something I did put on my list. But there's a lot more things to love about Vegas, especially if you're looking, to be a doctor and service the community. This is a great community to be part of. And yes, we have a lot of growing up to do, but it's one of those areas where if you read the news, it's always like, oh my God, there's a shortage. There's a shortage of primary care physicians. There's a shortage of specialized surgeons here in town. We rank 48th or 49th, depending on which is a really sucky place to be right now. But we're coming out of that very quickly. We've always grown very quickly. So there, again, it's one of those areas where I don't believe we're doomed, and I believe that the right people are invested for the right reasons. A shout out to Bo Bernard, by the way, for popularizing Vegas as a city, for professionals. He doesn't know me. I don't know him personally. I follow him. But he's one of these people that associate with UNLV who's done a great job of making Vegas a destination for other stuff. You know what I mean? And putting it on the map in many other ways. But anyways, okay, good job for you, Bo. All right, ready? Okay, here's another area. We're gonna fire through it. I'm gonna get to the rants at the end. I'm gonna rant as I go a little bit, as you can see. But at the end, I'm gonna deliver the blows, as it were. All right. So we're past medical care, and then we're on to the other thing is the people talk about the rent, rents here in Las Vegas. So As a metro city, we rank as one of the least affordable. Believe it or not, we rank as one of the least affordable cities, and the reason for that is not so much our rents are high relative to rents in California, rents in New York, but people tend to make less money here. Quite frankly, there are some great jobs and there's some great opportunity, but you never needed to make as much money. Vegas was always much more affordable. Food was more affordable. You had some of the lowest power bills. I mean, that was always something that's changing. Power and gas has changed a little bit. But you didn't need to make a lot of money, and you could have a nice house. You could have bought, our median house prices were low. You could always find for under $100,000 for the longest time. You could get into at least something and start that journey of home ownership. Obviously, a lot of that has changed, and that's also influencing rent. So people have been pushed out of the housing market as interest rates moved into rentals, and you hear about all this negativity with regards to rental rates. But the good news is, if you literally drive around Vegas right now, you will see, and I was trying to get an idea of exactly how many apartment complexes, but if you have to go through and do the buildings and stuff like this, or the permits, but there's a ton of apartments that are coming online, a ton of rental homes that are coming online. And this is one of my first rants. The other problem is the level of greed in this town, dude. I mean, I think it's gone on everywhere, where people are literally trying to just grind out whatever they feel the market will support instead of what they know is an equitable price, So near me, I have a home in Aliante that thankfully I got before interest rates got up, and I didn't spend a whole lot, to be honest. That was kind of a parlay from a condominium I had. They built a single housing community down the street from where I live. And these houses range from about 1,200 to 1,500 square feet, but they're standalone. They're literally your own house, a very small yard. And this was sort of the new thing. So this development company, instead of building these multi-house or multi-resident apartments, they went all in on building these homes, and they're absurdly expensive. Just for the sake of, so instead of you renting, you have this option of going into a home, and again, it's absurdly expensive. The rents associated with these are more than the rents we pay for standalone homes in almost any other community, only because they're there, and I think that they're looking at what they can get as a professionally managed resource. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. I just don't understand where this mentality has gone, where we have to squeeze every single thing out of every single person. How about we look at margins and we look at profits and we make enough money to return a profit, return a good investment, create a good investment for ourselves. But not at the risk of losing access. This is going to be a little bit of my rant later. But anyways, here the good news is rents have gone down year over year, even month over month in some cases. There's a lot of inventory that's coming online. The problem is there's a lot of people that sort of doubled up during COVID, and some of that has to spread out. But I believe that the housing market will return to something that's a lot more sensible. I've actually seen many more apartment complexes offering incentives, 2 months off, even 3 months off for multi-year leases. So all that is returning, and so this is a positive thing. So as far as our rental market here, it's going to take a little bit of time, but I believe it'll return to a sense of normalcy. It'll go back to being the much more affordable Vegas market that we've all looked forward to. And even the housing market has gotten some sense in it. If you look at some of the houses that have been on the market for a while, we do have a lot of people coming here from California that are taking up these homes very quickly, paying cash for them because they're getting the hell out of California. They're coming here, but we've seen houses that there is a sense that these prices are coming down. Demand in some cases has softened a little bit. I mean, we'll see. There's not a lot of inventory out there, strangely enough, and there seems to be enough people with cash, but that's hopefully got to run out here eventually. But anyways, all right. My next thing is, and this is going to be the gaming component is before. Well, actually, you know what? Let's not get to the gaming. So I'm gonna end before I get to the ranting. I'm gonna go to the gaming component because I know that for a lot of you, you're onto the gaming. So, but we have this perception of when it hits the news is crime, and I wanted to address crime here in Southern Nevada. There are police forces I am not a fan of, quite honestly. I've lived here long enough where I could tell you stories of there are jails that you do not want to go to here in, and Henderson is literally on that list of places where I would say you want to avoid. When you're driving through Henderson, slow the hell down. Don't let them accost you. You do not want to go to any. You don't want to deal with Henderson cops, and that's like been a theme. I would say North Las Vegas cops, friendliest cops I've ever met. In fact, they have these outreach groups that go out. I've met them several times just to say hello. They have the community outreach. They just go out. They don't wear the no guns, no nothing. They just come up and they say hello. I've actually met them in a parking lot a few times. It's kind of weird. Whole group of police, coming up and saying hello. They're all on bikes. And so, North Las Vegas has been very active and proactively looking to kind of reach out to community. We have a Metropolitan Police Department, not so much. Henderson Police Department, not really a fan. I've yet to have not that I had those experiences, but when you're in the bailing out process or trying to, help somebody, it's, man, Henderson's rough. Don't deal with Henderson. But that aside, we typically don't have the kinds of issues that some other cities are having. We do have issues like every flippin' metro city out there. And, it's Vegas, so people come to Vegas and they get drunk and they lose their money and they carry on. And yes, do we have homeless people? Yes. They don't have Ring doorbells installed on there. They're not pitching, permanent facilities on the sidewalk out here. Are some of these encampments growing? Do they have to be moved around? Near those encampments, are there, victims of crime? Yes, of course there is. That's all sort of standard operating procedure. This is the human, condition. You get hungry and you're hungry enough, and there are things that you do commit to doing that you just have no choice, and it sucks for the rest of us who have choices, right? But ultimately, we do not have the kinds of problem that exist in other ways. In fact, if you've ever seen our metro practice their little javelin maneuvers, which it's very, very impressive. They are built to take out and take down. I would suggest this, you do not want to go to the Strip or any part of the resort corridor and interact with Metro, because if they call for reinforcements, it's not going to go well for you. So I will say that this town, at least when it comes to that, they lock it down very well. In fact, our governor is a former sheriff, so that's become a big thing. Now, crime here, all the major statistics of crime have gone down over the last couple of years. We get spikes like everyone else. We do have a lot of traffic fatalities because people are stupid and don't like to use a crosswalk, or cars are speeding, or you like your motorcycle. Those of you who are motorcyclists, I know that's always a thing as well. So, but again, it's like every other town, but crime here is less. It's a very safe place to visit. In fact, we're even on this girls list of one of the safest tourist destinations to visit. You gotta be able to look. There's an alley. It's very dark. It's very deep. That's not a place to go. If you exit the back door of the Strat and you look out, and that's not a good place to go. It's very simple, and that exists anywhere, ever. You know what I mean? You got to be heads up. You have to know there are certain places that are friendlier and more comfortable. If you're coming to move to Vegas, I always say south and west, and south west. If you head east and too much for northeast, or far north, far northwest, those are also good options. But anyways, I know that I was asked a while ago, because we had a few issues that showed up where crime was an issue. But crime is, compared to other cities, is less of an issue. There's not a minute where I don't feel, safe here in town. I run across, a homeless person, or I ran across a guy screaming the other day, and then you go on the Strip and you see stuff. But that's literally everywhere. If you've lived in any major metro city, you'll have that. Many years ago, I didn't have a car. I was on a bike. And I ended up biking down this Rosecrans in Compton, or this one street in Compton. And of course, I had heard about Compton being lots of gangs, and I was, at first I was just scared shitless. It was during the middle of the afternoon, because I was thinking, like, I'm this young white kid rolling down the street in a bike with all this crap on him. And do you know, it was the most peaceful part of my journey, dude? Literally the most peaceful, serene. Nothing. I mean, it was just, there was nothing. There was no, I didn't see anything. There was no police presence. There was nothing. It was the safest place I could have been at that moment in time. So could I have, started dealing drugs on the corner and invited myself to have some other thing? I'm sure. But anyways, I find that the whole focus on crime and murders and everything else is just, it gets old. I recognize that it's for a reason, and we're trying to solve this issue. But anyways, all right. the next one is the next one I have is politics. And I say that only because it's not the doom and gloom of everything, but I feel like politics takes up a lot of space in people's brains these days. There's literally no doubt about it. And I recently had friends of mine and family of mine move to states where politics is very central, very germane to where you live. And if you don't have a certain sign in your yard, or you're not advocating for a certain politics, you get a lot of side eye, and it becomes uncomfortable, and it's really not. And so you have these states that are going sort of down the deep edge of this political ideology. That doesn't exist here. I will tell you, this is it doesn't exist here. There are people with that, it's a very apolitical state. It's strangely that way. It's like people come here just to avoid that, to get away from all that, to be in a place where they could just focus on their families and focus. In fact, it's interesting because if I go to California and visit some family there, that's all they talk about is what's going on with the homeless crisis and oh my God, the governor's being recalled again. It's just right to politics. Here it's like, where did you go, gamble, yesterday? Or, it's like, guess who visited? Or, what I It's just nothing. Very rarely does politics enter into the equation unless you make that a thing. And I will tell you that's very much a commonplace here. If you're someone that's very politically bent, this is really not the best place to go. Now, not to say that politics doesn't play a role. We elect politicians, there's ideologies that play out, but for the most part, we're a very independent state, and we've remained so regardless of the population, regardless of where you go. So it's not one of those things that is. I don't think in any time in the near future it's going to go one way or the other. So there's no doom to that. Which, by the way, I love. I love the fact that one of the reasons why there are lots of things about being in Vegas that I could tell you. I'll save that for another video. That I absolutely hate. But the political part is one of the things that I revel in tremendously because it saves so much brain space. I can have friends that I don't know what their politics are, and I really don't care because it's never a conversation we're going to have. But anyways, okay. Now I'm going to get to the gaming part. So should I stop for a minute and breathe?
I mean, if you want,
Really?
you don't have to stop and breathe if you don't
All right,
want.
so I am going to go I'm going to go to the gaming parts of this. And I'm gonna go through the areas that everyone has been telling me my entire life that are doomed. The very first one, before we get to the ETG conversation, is craps. So in the very beginning of my career, all I ever heard was craps is a dying game. And I would sit there and I'd be at a game, and it's a 25-cent table, bird game. And my boss would be there just shaking his head, couldn't get any business. We used to have shills on the game, an actual shill, which is stunning. Can you imagine? You have $15 and $25 games that are full. Bellagio, $50 game, it gets filled up, it goes to a $100 game, and those games are packed. Can you imagine long ago, 25-cent table, and you had no players. You couldn't even, so a shill was a guy or a girl, very rarely a girl, I never saw a girl. It was a guy who they would pay to come up and play the game and try to get other players, get excited, have a little roll. He wasn't allowed to win a lot of money. He wasn't paid a lot, to be honest. He was just some degenerate gambler that they would lure in and say, here's $60, come play this game. And when I was at the gate, it was this one guy who was the shill. In fact, for the longest time, I had no idea he was a shill. He was just some guy who would come up. He would always, buy in for a couple bucks, and he played a pass line, didn't do very much. And then, come to find out he's an actual shill. So, my boss was always like, yeah, these World War II guys are going to die off and craps is dead. No one's going to come out here and play crap. What they didn't realize is that the internet was about to be born. And YouTube was about to be born. And all of a sudden, you have all of these people, before they come to Vegas, they're exploring opportunities to play table games. And instead of coming to Vegas with no idea, they're looking these games up, they're investigating, because that whole thing is switched. We used to just come to Vegas, right? Because we didn't have the luxury of the internet. We had a few encyclopedias, and I'm going to guess that craps was, well, maybe it was one of the encyclopedias, but you came to Vegas, you found a game, you bellied up to the table, and you try to kind of learn it by osmosis. You saw people betting come bets or whatever else, whatever the game was. But it took a minute. The good thing is the games were cheap. You had 25 cents or $1. There was an easy way to play. You can go to the Horseshoe, any game downtown with dollars. Can you imagine back in that day, you could $20, you can buy in and play 20 hands. And you can talk to the dealer and you can talk to the players. And before long, you know how to play. My first game was that I ever played was I was underage. I was at Bally's in Atlantic City. And it was still a $5 table, by the way, back then. But I bought in for like $50 and played for a while. And I was able to talk to the dealer. I lost my money. But it was an exciting event for me. Well, now it's amazing what YouTube and just in general, the internet in general has done to educate players when they come here. Not to mention the fact that there's a couple social dynamics that have also played out. One is that as much as social media platforms have become prevalent, we're now young people, especially, are looking to engage. They're looking to be part of the game. They're looking for an experience that's very holistic, that's community-based, that's, they're looking for an experience. They want to put it on Instagram, they want to share it on the social media, but they want to do something. And doing something means not playing their video game, coming to Vegas to be part of the table game action. So that's where they're going. And it's amazing because crap tables are busy everywhere. Literally every crap tables are busy everywhere. There are casinos right now. When I say everywhere, I don't mean like every shift, every crap table. That's obviously not a thing. But they're busy on a level that no one ever thought would exist. In fact, the demand for crap dealers is still through the roof. We have a new class that goes through every 5 weeks, and then we have stragglers that sort of play through. But demand for our craps class has never been higher. We've been teaching more crap dealers than ever before because the demand exists, and there are casinos looking to put in tables, but they can't because they don't have the dealers. So anyone that's ever suggested that these tables are going out, it's not happening. And that gets me to the ETG, electronic table games. Electronic table games have proliferated. They've become, they're taking up the same space that a slot machine used to take up, but they're not. There are casinos who have replaced tables with ETGs, no doubt about it. But the tables aren't going anywhere. In fact, there are some casino pits that are expanding to play into this new social exercise, this new excitement that young people have for these games. And that's not changing. Casinos love table game players. Table game players sit longer, play more money, and are willing to risk more, right? ETGs, not so much. Not to say that there's not some baller ETG players. And when I say ETG, I mean electronic table game. But they're played differently. People interact with them differently. A table game is a social space. And one of the reasons why Casino Quest has been so successful is our space. We have corporate events coming through there all the time. It is an amazing team building exercise because it's everybody out there versus the game. Even the dealers aren't adversaries. I mean, I guess you could say you're a blackjack dealer, but the blackjack dealer is dealing the card. It's a fantastic way to meet people and have an experience that is just overtly positive. And at Casino Quest, you're not actually risking money. You know what I mean? You're just playing the games as they were intended, right? That's not really a plug. I'm just talking about the social. I guess it is a plug, but there's that. But anyway, so ETGs are not replacing table games. They're not going to take away from the dealer experience for as long as Vegas is live. You watch. If anything, the experience with the frontline employee is going to improve. And these tables are not doomed in any way. And the proof positive is literally any of you out there that go and visit a casino pit, you'll see the activity. Go to Durango. It's just okay. Don't go to Fontainebleau. That's not the best example right now. We'll get to that in a minute. But go to Durango. The place is packed, absolutely packed. It's well lit. It's just you can't say enough good things about it. If you go there, you'll know exactly what I'm saying. And it's all day long. It's 24 hours a day. It's absolutely made because it feeds in to everything that is current. The entire dynamic of human interaction, all the things that are playing out right this time. They have social, Instagram-friendly walls and social media-friendly restaurants, and they have the food court that has all the most current, popular, food in a very social, interactive space, and you can actually see who the hell is playing next to you. You can see the floor or where you want to go. It plays into literally everything we've come to know and want to experience on a table game floor. It took cues. Whoever designed that space took cues from literally. It seems so simple, by the way, but it's not. But they took cues from all the things that are working in so many other places and just threw it into one place, and it was flipping genius. Now, the flip side of that is if I was smelling my own farts and built a casino with $3 billion, I would have built some other place, but that's for another day. Okay, are you ready? Go.
None.
None.
Gave us a $5 super chat. Says
Thank you very much.
100%. Wait, is my thing unmuted? Yeah, okay. 100% on point. YouTube and influencers have strongly helped casinos, yet many do not let recording for some archaic reason. That's literally the fun.
I know. I will say, go to Resorts World. We love Resorts World. They don't mind you filming. You can't film the table. One of the things about the table game filming is, procedurally there are game protection issues that are in play. Casinos don't want to reveal potential vulnerabilities. They'll let you take a picture, they'll let you film under specific circumstances, but they don't want to give away too much of that because it's already hard enough to counter knowledge. People are coming with lots of knowledge. And if you're able to record, keep using the word holistic, if you're able to record the space in real time over a period of time, you might reveal things that they just don't want to share with the world. You follow? And that's understandable, and that's a business model, and quite frankly, there's a lot of potential room for error. And there's not and not all YouTubers, influencers are good actors, by the way, in this space. Some of them are just looking to take your money. Some of them are looking to take advantage or cheat the casino, and that's not why they're there. They're there as an entertainment venue. They're there as a gambling venue. Casinos are trying to play the game as fair as possible, or most of them anyways. And so there are limits. But I do agree that they have to find some kind of balance. Like it's a do or don't type of thing. Like there's one casino recently who had so many bad actors interacting with them, they do not allow any influences whatsoever. And the other part of it is the narrative. So if you come in there, if you are an influencer, and then all of a sudden you get arrested for something, they don't want it to be, their casino was the last place you were at. You know what I mean? Because now you're a bad actor, and they don't want to be identified with you. So there's a lot of risk, and it's private property. But I do agree that there should be many more venues for. Listen, if you win a lot of money on a table, you should be able to take a picture of your money. That's a thing.
Or even record.
Or even just record the buyout or something like this. Maybe go to the cage, stuff like this. There's a few people in this space that have been really eager to open this up. One of our friends, Brian Stanton, he runs a casino. He put hashtags on his table, starting at Sahara, then moving into the Strat, which is genius because the hashtag then that promotes both the casino and the players, the players' experience. But to say that YouTube influencers and social media hasn't played a role in Vegas is asinine. That's not a thing. I know that people try to change that perspective and that dynamic. You know what's strange is, and we have had, this is a kind of behind the scenes thing, but we've had so many conversations with casinos, and quite honestly, the funniest thing is so I'll give you an example. Ready? Okay. We're talking to a casino about having an event. And we're going over the hotel space, okay? And I have this meeting, and this guy that comes down the stairs, and he's easily well past retirement. That's number one. But that's not the biggest takeaway. The biggest takeaway was he didn't even know what to ask. So here we are. We're influencers, or we have this YouTube experience, that kind of thing. And we're talking about having a fan event, which we ended up having the fan event, but we weren't able to connect with the rooms. You know what I mean? And the fan event, we were supposed to only get 6 tables, but we took over 100, and we ended up with 150 people there. We took over damn near the whole pit. And the numbers were staggering. The casino did very well. The casino did very well on our group. And the reason for that is because we teach entertainment. Gambling is entertainment opportunity. There's no fix. We're not trying to teach something that doesn't exist. We want you to come and have fun, and that's it. So anyway, so this guy comes down. It took forever to have this meeting. He comes down, and he's admitting to us, the first thing is, I don't know anything about the internet. Well, then can we meet with someone who does, dude? Because then he starts asking questions about, well, how does this work? And he's like, he literally does not understand how we have a fan base. He can't understand Casino Quest. Like, how is it that you have this business that teaches people how to play? They can come here and learn how to play. No, they can't, dude. They got to buy in for hundreds of dollars to come here and play. They're not coming to your casino for nothing. They're coming to your casino because we are going to be here. And he just can't understand how that's a thing. What do you mean? We're a casino. We have restaurants and gambling. And I mean, it was this ridiculous loop of nonsense. And you deal with that a lot. Like you go to these properties, and even people that are called themselves they're marketing people, they're not marketing any part of the current experience. They're not interacting or related to any of how people digest information. You know why I have a lot of young people in our organization? I have a lot of young people in our organization because they know how media is consumed, especially with our media department. They know short form media. They know long form. I don't know short form media. I don't understand 10-second media clips and memes and things. So I rely on Dennis and his team to give us context and allow us this opportunity. Really, I mean that's the truth. But I understand that. Again, I don't smell my own farts, or I try not to. I mean, sometimes it's hard to help, but for the most part, there's truth, and then there's your own bullshit. There's attachment to either emotionalism and sentimentality, anyways, all right, let me move on. Did that answer that one? No. But I agree. It has to change. I will tell you this. I would love to be the vehicle of change. I would. I would love for our organization to really demonstrate. We were growing very quickly. We've slowed down a little bit. We're at this very big pivot point in our existence. And the idea is we're pushing up against a lot of really big forces, a lot of really archaic forces, people that are just literally ingrained in this, in the very simple math of it all, right? Instead of the experience of it all. And I believe the needle will change, and I believe that there are people that are in place right now that'll help it change. And I really do hope that we're one of them, which is one reason why CasinoQuest.biz, the center, that's why that's going to exist. And if you share that experience, even if listen, there's no obligation money, but if you even share the experience informationally, you'll see why we exist as a business, why we're growing as a business, and why we're relevant, and we're continue to be relevant as a business. So it'll be some great information. All right, we went on the ETG, and now we're going to get to the rest of it is Vegas Doom. So I will say this. I am very unhappy with the arc of development in Vegas. And I believe that there are a few principled, I would say maybe even non-principled people who are directing the growth of Vegas in a very poor trajectory. And here's why I say that, and this is why I believe that there's any chance that Vegas is doomed, is that we fall into the hole that Atlantic City built for itself, where we're squeezing out the money and working on grinding and creating margins. Now, we have always done a very good job. Vegas has always done a very good job of reinventing itself and evolving. But it seems like much of the evolution now is how much money can we make, period. Instead of the vision that exists, instead of, I have to believe that in the earlier days, or when I was here in the earlier days, when Wynn went from the Mirage and made that money, he went on to Bellagio and he did, he had this art gallery that he created. He created all these experiences that were about the experience. Yes, they were about pulling people forward, but originally to go to the art gallery, it was free. You could walk through his collection. When Bellagio was first done, I think you have to pay for it now. It might even not even exist. But there was a point where he had all this fine art, and you could visit it for free. It was a free ad. It was a way to draw people. Years and years ago, Vegas had shows that were almost free, that were very cheap, because the idea was to get you moving across the casino floor. Remember when meals were cheap? Remember when? Now, I'm not saying that that has changed, right? And I'm not saying it hasn't changed in a good way, because now we have this foodie experience that we wouldn't have had otherwise. Like, you're not going to get all these wonderful chefs and everything, and they're going to be cheap, right? So you got to pay. But and I get that. But we don't have to take from every venue and try to justify it. The continued rant is the resort fees, all the surcharges, and all of these sort of stakes going from 36 to 56 to 86 to 106. It just keeps going up because they feel like, especially if it's I won't say collusion, because I don't want to put that word out there, but if everybody sort of creates this once in a lifetime type of experience, that's not realistic. Vegas needs to continue to be accessible to everybody. I'm not saying either that we only have we have this whole low rent experience. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like we need the Arias and the Bellagios and the Cosmos of the world, but we also need the downtown experiences. We need the down to earth. We need circus. We need access. We need people, everybody, to want Vegas to be on the bucket list. Everywhere you go, you buy a sandwich, it's like $15. It's absurd, man. No, that's beyond profit margins. That's just silliness. I mean, you go on the Strip, and we're becoming like every other tourist destination. The greatest thing is when not the greatest thing, but years ago, I went to, I've lived in a lot of different places, and you would go to these tourist areas and things were absurdly high. But then you came to Vegas, and strangely enough, food was cheap, rooms were cheap, everything was cheap except the gambling. The gambling was the thing, but everything else was cheap to come here and be part of the city. You know what I mean? Now, nothing is cheap. Now they have changed, and they're like, well, we have fees. It's bullshit. No one's using your resort, dude. You know what I mean? You have a pool, but no one's stepping in your pool. Now, if I use the pool, let me pay for the pool. If I'm using your weight room, let me pay. If I'm using your spa, let me pay for your spa. If I need you to print my plane ticket, I'll pay you $5. You can print my plane ticket. So instead of calling it resort fees, how about we call it the Wi-Fi fee? Because most of us will pay for a little internet service. Or how about some water? How about you don't make us walk down from our room to get Starbucks coffee, because now you have this new agreement, with the coffee, so you don't have any flipping coffee in the room. I don't want to walk downstairs to get my coffee. I want the damn coffee maker in my room, which only costs $10, $15 at Walmart with a coffee pod. You know what I mean? Just give me a break. Somewhere in this experience, give me a break so that I can convince my family that it's worth coming here. And that's the doom. I feel that's the doom, because now we're going into this narrow tunnel of a few people focusing on margins. How much can we squeeze literally everybody that comes to Vegas? And I know this is the one area look, and I make some great dealers. We train some great dealers, and we have a great experience at our school, and we create a lot of opportunity for a lot of people. But the pushback I get is having these kinds of conversations. But you know what? David's here. David has to have his conversations, and I wish that there's a point, because you give me a property where I can create an experience, and I will demonstrate that I can make money, that I can create opportunity, and it would be a great destination. It would become a great destination, great experience, because it would play into everything that's relevant now, everything that's in context now, where people want Casino Quest. I mean, it's no one thought it would ever exist, and so if you understand people, it exists. It exists. I'm sorry, it exists. People don't believe that trust a casino to teach them how to play games, and people sometimes just want to play the games and not risk any money. We exist, okay? So I feel like as much as they're avoiding having these conversations, they need to have these conversations. They need to get a lot of people in a room. Instead of just talking to the same people over and over again. Look at this F1, and here is my this is one of the first really good examples of how F1 only benefited a few people and didn't benefit the city at large. Not to mention it kept a lot of people away. How do we know? Because during F1, a lot of stores really suffered, a lot of restaurants really suffered. I mean, there was this a consolidation of casinos, this one small area of the resort corridor that did very well, but there are a lot of businesses that really suffered, and they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to raise the issue. They don't want to be in contravention to everything that's going on there. But a few people got into a room, and they didn't even have a contract, apparently. They didn't even have all the things dotted. I mean, I think they're still figuring out who's going to pay for the damn road. How is this even possible? How has this company come to this town, impact so many people negatively? Because there's a lot of us that work here, by the way. And then you have one of their primary drivers talking shit about it the whole flipping time, taking away from this experience that we quite literally sacrificed months for, right? Again, this is the doomsday clock for Vegas, because if you keep marching this one way to have this one very singular experience, well, guess what? You're going to leave a lot of people off the grid. There's a lot of people that won't make Vegas a destination. They'll choose other places as a destination. You know what's a great destination too? Biloxi. If you guys have ever thought to go to a Gulfport, I mean, you got to go. It's a fantastic city. A lot of casinos, very competitive, hyper competitive. They are right now trying to earn your business. They're paying better odds on craps with lower minimums and higher. I mean, they are working competitively to and it's a beautiful place.
Not only that, but gaming has expanded across the U.S.
And now you have new markets expanding. So we better get our shit together. Stop listening and stop investing in the same people talking nonsense, or at least not willing to fully investigate, what the outcome is. And that's the doom of Vegas. Us becoming less of a destination, us taking people away from making, putting Vegas on their bucket list. I really think that it's a very unfortunate thing. I really do. I don't agree with it. And anyways, all right. What do you got? I gotta breathe.
I think people are just mostly listening to you ranting, and people are ranting about their own things on the chat. Susan does say, we love staying at timeshares because you get a fridge, a coffee maker, and more space. Yep. And you can rent them without owning them.
Yeah. So yeah, the timeshares, sometimes they don't. A lot of these timeshares and now these part-time rental. I would say that it's genius because there's quite a few of these really nice timeshare buildings. The Marriott has one, the Chateau, I believe, the MGM Grand has a few. And again, it's like your own little apartment. They tend to be cheaper, and it's a great experience. You get your coffee maker. You can avoid all the casino congestion. Parking is easier. I mean, it's a whole thing. So there are still, listen, there is still value here in Vegas. There's still some great places. If you take an RV and you get a reservation at Oasis RV Park, for example, I was showing Dennis the Oasis RV Park. Because I know people that, part of that RV culture, and they drive. There are still places here that have value, that try to maintain a certain level of decorum and accommodation, and that's 100%. That's 100% a thing. Treasure Island and Circus still have affordable rooms. All the station properties, for the most part. Now, some of the station properties don't have a lot of rooms; they get sold out, and so of course that rack rate rises, which is understandable. But there's a lot of local experiences that are close to the Strip that you could take advantage of. We always promote Ellis. Palace Station is very close, so there's lots of ways to still enjoy Vegas. I feel that the Strip is losing itself. And as much as I was the biggest fan of Fontainebleau, just catering to this next level and trying to draw, I didn't realize how far. I didn't realize they'd have $1,000 craps table, $80, $95 baked potato. I mean, it just seemed you go in there and you revel at the beauty of it, and then you turn your ass around and walk the hell out unless you're prepared to quite literally drain the wallet.
Wager Me This gave us for $5 super chat. Says, come hang out with me at Oak Lawn in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Yeah. It's a nice racetrack, horse track, and casino.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's some fantastic destinations that are really trying to promote themselves as an alternative to Vegas. Years ago, when casinos, there were a lot of casinos that were afraid that, I guess this is another one of those doom things. So I opened Louisiana, right? So I went out and went to work at Players Lake Charles, worked at Bella Baton Rouge, and even back then it was like, oh my God, Vegas is going to lose all this business to all these local markets. The thing was, these local markets just didn't have anything to compare to Vegas. So if anything, it gave people a taste, and then they would come to Vegas. So I think in many ways, some of these markets help propel people to come to Vegas who might not otherwise have come to Vegas. Taught them the games, introduced them to gambling, this kind of thing. And so Vegas in some ways, created business, and there were quite a few bosses, by the way. They were fully invested. Steve Wynn, I know, was like, all gaming is good gaming. You know what I mean? Like, let's get everybody in here, let's get them rolled up. He didn't see this as being a competition or being competitive to Vegas. Again, these markets were very limited. The boats that we opened, they had to set sail. There wasn't a lot of motels originally. I've heard that Lake Charles has had quite the renaissance. They have a hotel. When I moved to Lake Charles, there was like a weekly place, and that was it. I mean, I had to stay in this mobile home for a minute, and then I had to move to this one weekly and they had no room. Now they've got motels and they have resorts there. But these markets are growing up, and if Vegas doesn't stay wise to it, if you think that Vegas is going to be a destination just for the uber rich, man, you're cutting into a big crowd.
Chris asked a really good question. It says, do you think the Sphere has helped or hurt Vegas, as it's a very unique experience and the only place in the world? Is that a better direction to go?
Okay, so I love the Sphere. I think the Sphere is fantastic. And I love the man behind the Sphere. He was all in, dude. This guy literally, Madison Square Garden. So it's the guy with, I don't know how much he divested of other things, but I know that he had to divest himself. There was a point in time where he could have turned around and said, I'm out, and then turned it over. But he is literally, this guy went all in. And I believe that it's a fantastic destination. Here's what I think is ridiculous. They have 300 parking spaces. It's a venue for 18,000 people. They have 300 parking spaces. What's the math, Dennis?
We did the math. So if you would have to bring 600 people per car to fit all the seats on the Sphere. So, just 600 people. That's it.
So here's what happens. Because they didn't account for much parking, everybody parks either at fashion show. So, we'll show up at fashion show and we can't find a space, and we work there because there's an event at the Sphere, and people will park there and walk because you can walk there. Or they fill up the Venetian. So Venetian now charges for parking because of this, where it used to not charge for parking. Now, do I believe that it's a fantastic venue? 100%. Everyone that's been in there has said parking sucked, congestion sucked, but once I was in that venue, it was a one-of-a-kind experience that it's hard to replicate. I know people that were at the U2 event, and I have yet to hear a single negative, thing. They had this. In fact, one of them was where they literally made it so that the cameras. So there's cameras literally 360 around this globe, and what it does is you can make the inside look like you're outside. So all of a sudden, all the inside paneling is just broadcasting what you would see if you were just looking out. So all of a sudden, it looks like the Sphere is gone. And that was one of the things that they were just so incredibly impressed. And the way you interact with the space. Here's the thing that I'm very excited to hear, that the Sphere is actually making money, which, my skepticism was, how do you monetize this? It's such a unique format. It's a very expensive format, but they've done very well. And of course, a guy that owns Madison Square Garden. You ever been to Madison Square? I went to one of my very first events in Madison Square Garden, New York. I've seen the Rockettes a couple times, and I went to Harlem Globetrotters, that kind of thing. I saw Michael Jackson there many, many years ago when he was young. But this was the guy to do this. This was the guy with the money and the dream. These are one of those people who I associate with, like, the Steve Wynns. I don't know much about them personally, but people with a bit of vision that willing to go all in, just take the risk, and clearly it was a risk. There's no doubt about it. But I do believe it was. Even seeing it now, so depending upon where you are in the valley, it's fantastic to look over and see the blinking eye, or whatever other new advertisement they have.
The other thing about the Sphere is tickets, at least the cheapest tickets, are still reachable for most people. It's not overly expensive. You don't have to spend $10,000 or any of that.
They have a show for $150. They have an art show where they invite local artists. I'm not sure how that works, but they've been doing very well. So they have a lot of community-based interaction, which is absolute genius. You know what I mean? Instead of doing the 24-hour around-the-clock promotion, they actually have they'll have local artist stuff that they play out there. They will have local public service announcements that they play out there. So they didn't go all in on let's just make as much flipping money as we can, which again, I is always the win, dude. I don't understand why people are just so invested in just this very linear frame of thought.
Looking right now, some events are as cheap as $89, $99. That's very attainable for most people.
They have a thing during the day, I believe, right? It's that art thing. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Looking around, I don't see it.
But I do love the Sphere. I've always loved the Sphere. When I researched the technology, when I was reading, we were digging into kind of what's going on. I even ran into a kid, strangely, at the bank. That was with he had just gotten hired. And he was so excited because they were paying him $23 an hour to start. And he was like a host. He was sort of just a regular frontline employee. And he had left some other job. And he was just so excited. He had his first paycheck with him. And I turned back, and me and Dennis are there doing some business stuff. And he's the only other person standing. He's a young Latin guy. And he was so excited. He had this check. Oh yeah, working for the Sphere. He volunteered it. Remember? Yeah. He just couldn't keep it in. You could tell he was just so excited. He had the Sphere check, his Sphere paycheck, and he is working as a host. And I know someone else who's working at a host absolutely loves it. Like it was telling me if you go right, it goes to like the backstage stuff. If you go left, from where they go in, it goes to like the main area.
I have a couple more super chats. So
Go.
Jason gave us a $5 super chat. It's also his first super chat on a live stream, so thank you.
Sir. Yep.
Says, coming to Vegas in June, staying at the D, where is your favorite place to play craps on Fremont? Don't want to play more than $10 tables.
I would say you picked the right casino. D is 10, no? They go to 15 a lot, but during the days, no?
I think during the day it's
and they have a $5,000 limit, which is absolutely a thing. Like if you're going to play opportunity, I would not limit. If you come across a $10 table, a $500 table, leave. If you catch a big hand, you realize like you can't now. If you never plan on going to 500 and you just can't see yourself with a purple chip in action, understandable. Then it doesn't matter. If you're just playing flat bets and you're just playing basic place bets, same bet, that's one thing. But I will say like. My favorite place, energy-wise, with some of the best dealers downtown, is the Golden Nugget. There's no doubt about it.
But I don't think they have $10 tables. I think
But it's
15.
mostly 15. No, I've heard that we're returning a little bit. There's more.
Also, it depends on what time of year.
It really depends on what time of day. I mean, if you're here on a weekend and you're on swing shift, it's $15. I think it's so crazy, dude. I really think they have to change this mindset on these table minimums. Especially if you go there and you're saying, well, it wasn't busy at $15, and that's where I think they need to just lower the table minimums, not focus so much on margins. Get back to the cash flow experience and the actual letting people play and interact with the games. I would love to see the first casino that comes back with a $5 table. You know what I mean? And I think it's coming. I think it's coming. I think it's going to be a minute before things return to normal, but we'll see what happens.
Mr. Toy gave us $5.
Yeah.
Says, is Metro enforcing the new law that prevents people from standing on the bridge?
Oh, yeah, that's been hit or miss, by the way. So the biggest thing is if you're trying to sell water on a bridge, they will move your ass along. But if you literally stop to take a picture, I haven't heard about too many people getting harassed. I mean, they really passed that law to give the cops ammunition so they can move along the vagrants that are trying to like sit there and make money, or people making money giving you CDs and stuff like this, because then it creates this congestion, and then all of a sudden you got 6 people sitting there because there weren't a lot of ways that they could convince people or move people out of the way, right? So really, it's one of those laws that just gives them ammunition. But I know people that are stopping to take a picture. As long as you take a picture and move on, I haven't heard of anyone really have an issue with it. But I know it's a scary sounding law. I will say that. The ACLU is contesting it, I believe, is suing. And trying to remove that as a thing, but anyway, we'll see. Technically, I think it's all private property. No, it can't be. It's got to be county. I don't know what the legalities are, but it does sound like a scary law. But I haven't heard of anybody. But the cops are using it definitely to move these people along, and I will have to say it's a good thing because some of these people that are sitting there can be a little scary. I mean, quite honestly, yeah.
Clinton Vert, otherwise known as Purple Cobra.
Purple Cobra
Gave us $4.99. Says, any advice on March Madness things to do? See you guys in a couple weeks.
We will be on the floor at Fashion Show. We are rolling out Casino Quest tables, 4 of them. I don't know why. 4 of them. So for free, you know what? I shouldn't even put this out there because now they're going to be doing free. We're going to have some tables. They're going to be hosted by, brand new dealers. And we're going to be on the floor at Fashion Show, and they're going to have this whole March Madness experience. So if you want to come by, watch the game, play a little game, a couple games. There won't be a lot of teaching. It'll mostly just be the dealing part. That's the thing. If you want really to get teaching and stuff, that'll be a Casino Quest still. But that'll be free. And they're going to be handing out gifts, free gifts.
Oh, okay.
Fashion Show's giving us these bags to hand out. So if you come and visit one of our tables, and he's got a big family, that would be like 9-10 bags, dude. They bring his whole family to there.
I mean, other than that, I don't know if we're the best people to ask for about March Madness things to do because me and David don't go out much.
That's true. But we will be there on the Fashion Show floor for all the dates where there's games, and come see us.
I think we're.
You know what's a great place to go? Is Pinball Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's true.
It's
Pinball
relatively
Hall of Fame,
inexpensive. It's a nonprofit, so they're not going to gouge you. And if you want to introduce your kids or you're an old pinball fan like me, it's an absolutely fantastic experience. I mean, it is exactly what it's supposed to be. It's a ton of, if you're going there looking for some bougie-ass experience, it does not exist. It's literally pinball machines everywhere.
They have air hockey.
and some other games. It's really a lot of fun. So I would recommend. It's a very old school experience, and it's a nonprofit. It's literally organized as a nonprofit. It's a foundation or something like this. So they're not out. It's not money motivated, although they need to make money and they have a big space. But it's a wonderful place to go. That's less expensive, especially if you have kids. And yeah, it's definitely a thing.
And you can find the secret cats there.
Oh yeah,
There's a bunch of secret
there's
cats
that are there. But there you go. All
they
right.
don't like you getting close, but they will run around.
Yeah, good. All right, fantastic. All right. So not all gloom and doom. The answer is Vegas is not doomed. There's some really, really cool people here, and we are working to make this a better community for everyone. And I hope I get to visit you someday. You get to visit us. We have a lot of wonderful things coming up. We have this event in March. We're putting out information on the late August event. That's also going to take place at Palace. We'll let you guys know. We're going to put that up soon. And if you get signed up for CasinoQuest.biz/the center, that's going to be the information about our new training center. And by the way, can we give away another one? Here, let's give another mat. If you are still here listening to the very end, we're going to give you a mat. You're going to have a choice. Do we have the roulette mat? It's all gone? Oh, no, I hung it up. Here, grab me that mat. It's right there. Can you get up? Because I'm attached to my sound. All right, we're going to show you. So those of you still here, we're going to run a little thing. We're going to do a giveaway because we like to do giveaways. And we have a few extra. Because it's basically a craps channel, I'm a crap dealer. It's going to be the prop box mat that we designed. So it's a precision, waterproof, high performance mouse pad. It's a little bigger than most mouse pads. In fact, it's a lot bigger than even my little Surface Pro. I have a Surface Pro here, so it's quite a bit bigger than that. But there you go.
Type in Doom in chat.
Doom. All right, and so we'll give this away. Just so you know, if you miss out, shopcasinoquest.com. We have a bunch of mats. We have literally big ass mats for you too. But yeah, we'll give this away. All right,
Jason. Well, we are excited to see you. He said he's going to bring his daughter because she's going to turn 21 and she needs to learn how to gamble.
Dude, I love it. So like it's if you're 21, you should stop at Casino Quest first before you go crazy on the tables, so you can learn.
We've had people stop by way before 21 too, by the way.
And that's good too. Yeah, we have because there's no age as long as you come with an adult, obviously. But yeah, we really don't have an age.
If you are an adult.
Or if you are an adult, but we've had it's a great experience and it's a great thing. There's lots of casinos that are 18 over for dealers, so if you're looking to get exposure to the games, it's a great place to be. We're not under gaming, so age is not really an issue. All right, but okay, are you ready?
I'm letting everyone talk. Give him a second.
All right, we'll give him a second. I'm gonna give him a second. All right, good.
Quick reminder: we have an event fanfullery at the end of this month, the 30th and the 31st.
Yeah.
And you can sign up at CasinoQuest.biz if you're still interested. I know. Someone mentioned in chat that if it wasn't Easter weekend, they would have actually.
It is Easter weekend. Yeah, we had no idea it was Easter weekend. Like I don't know why we didn't think of this.
We're implementing a new policy where we have to look at all holidays.
Yeah, I know. So anyway.
Okay, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
1 through 10.
9. I do this. You have to count all the way down, dude. Gives you something to do.
Okay, we have Jason Grandboys.
Jason.
You are the winner.
All right, so he's going to direct message you. We're going to mail this out, no cost. So we'll mail this out to you. And yeah, you'll enjoy our little mouse pad. All right. Thank you guys so much. We're going to have another exciting topic next week. It'll be more ranty, just so you know. This one was less ranty. Next week, more ranty.
Really? This one was less ranty?
I mean, I kind of got lost into it. I don't like to do too much doom and gloom. But yeah, I look forward to you guys. Thank you so much for being part of our community. And we'll see you next time. David out.
Say the line.
I'm off to Keno to unwind.
And the truth is...